Hey guys, so I have several really fun replays with Cyber Dragons that I wanted to share, and this is post new ban list, but the format is really the exact same, so I am still using the exact same list as before because I just didn't see any need to change it. I have started off the format strong and doing really well with the list so far, so I don't suspect it will change until the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer comes out, so let's just get started. Okay, so this first replay is against Virtual World, which many suspect will be one of the better decks in the format. I'm not sure if it would really be tier 1 though, probably still tier 2, but definitely a good deck. So he is going to start off with the Qualoon, which I will try to Ash. It's kind of risky because I played Gamma, but unfortunately I'm hit with the TTT and sends back the only good starter card that I had in terms of Cyber Emergency. So he is free to go off really. Brings the Lily, double Foolishes, or GG first rather. And with the Qinglong, he's going to be able to search. And I'm just going to scoop here. There's just no point. My hand was really bad and I'm just not going to win. So we are just going to go straight into game 2 and we are still opting to go second. It's not like in the past where Virtual World brought up VFT and you were just forced to go first. But now I think it's a really fair deck and it's a strong deck, don't get me wrong. But I do find that it's still, you are perfectly capable of going second against this deck. So he's going to start off with the Lily and bring out the Ash. And of course the Nian Nian will summon itself. And he's going to go into Shen Shen, set one pass, so not too formidable for this field, although Walking Macrocosmos is pretty strong. So we are going to start off with the Emergency, and of course it gets banished. I'm going to Specialty Cyber Dragon, normal the core, use its effect to search, and we will add another Emergency just for the follow-up, because we're obviously not going to kill him this turn. And this is going to be kind of an unconventional way of bringing out Infinity, but because of Shen Shen we're getting banished. I'm bringing out the Cyber Dragon from hand with the Rev system to go into Infinity straight, not being able to go into Anaconda for example. Well, you could, but it would just not be worth it at the moment. And so main phase 2 we will just use the pot just to see if we can excavate another interruption so that we can kind of hold them off. So not too great. I will just add the Nibiru just to have some sort of, you know, safety measure so that my opponent can't extend too much, at least I hope, with knowing that there is a Nibiru and we do still have the Ash and Infinity, although I'm actually going to go into Zeus, and I also have the All Mirage just in case of, you know, any kind of destruction cards to protect against that. So he's going to use the Qinglong's effect to try to negate, which of course I will negate, send with Zeus and then chain that with All Mirage so I can protect Zeus for this turn. Unfortunately, he has TTT, and of course I'm just going to still use Zeus effect to send the TTT on the field to the grave, just so he doesn't have additional materials for Zeus if he overlays into his own Zeus, for example. And of course, Shen Shen will just constantly come back. I will try to negate that Qinglong search with the Ash, so it's coming pretty clutch. And so he's just going to send a Chooch with the Lao Lao, and looks like he is just going to attack with the Shen Shen and my Zeus. And with the Shen Shen effect, he's going to just bring back the Ash into the grave. And main phase 2, we're going to use Chooch, convert the level of Lao Lao so he can go into M7. And M7 will add him an Ash from grave. At least I think he's messing up the materials here that he's sending. So he's going to add the Ash, so it's a great interaction there. And then, like I said, going to go overlay into his own Zeus, so at least now it only has 2 materials. So we draw another Emergency, which sucks. It is going to get met with an Ash, but we did have that core in the grave. And this is where it really depends whether you know about Chimera type Fortress or not, if you're going against Cyber Dragons. Unfortunately, he did not realize. And because M7 is also a machine, this is actually a big deal. Now, Fortress is 3000. So that means when he brings back Shen Shen, it's not going to be able to go over it. And so with the hers, that also triggers, and I'm just going to add a Cyber Dragon from deck to hand, and we will poke with 3k. So he is just going to bring back Shen Shen, and like I said, now he is forced to put it in defense mode, otherwise he would have just walked over my Fortress if it was at 2000. My hand is pretty decent still. I do have that extra Emergency for the core, and my opponent is just going to scoop there. So we will just go straight into game 3. Our opponent is going to go first, starting off with that E-Telly. This time I am a little scared of the Gamma, so I choose not to Ash that. He's going to do the Lulu. That one I will Ash, it's definitely the best one. TTT, I was really scared he was going to bring back a card, but looks like he's going to draw instead, which of course is a powerful effect, but I would much prefer that than him shuffling a card from my hand and also being able to know what I have in my hand. So he's going to bring out the Lily and the Lulu. Use Chooch effect, convert the level. Go into Zolkin, sets a card which now triggers Zolkin, and he can bring out the Crystal Wing. So So this is sort of like the standard virtual world thing nowadays, now that they don't have VFT for the last little while. So he's gonna search the Lao Lao off the Qinglong, pitch the Nyan Nyan, and Foolish the other trap, Wanwu. I don't even know how to pronounce that, but... And then gonna go into Muddy Mud Dragon, use that effect so that he can go into Invoke Kaliga. So it's pretty strong, you know, one attack, one effect activation. You can also negate a monster effect negation with Crystal Wing. So we are gonna negate the Crystal Wing though, because fortunately for us, the Kaliga, it has weak defense. The anti-spell fragrance was also quite strong. So now we're just gonna go into Anaconda. The Hers effect does get met with an Ash, which isn't that big of a deal. It's really, for the most part, not really worth ashing. But I mean, at this point, you know, he doesn't have much to do, I guess. And with Dragoon, I'm just gonna pop both. And I will just set the Prosperity. I'm gonna use the Trap to bring out Nyan Nyan. And then I believe Nyan Nyan's trying to trigger, and I will negate and destroy that. So we take that one. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the second match is against Tri-Brigade. It has a little bit of a twist because he seems to be playing Dragoon, but it does have a pretty cool back and forth here at some point in this match. So to start, he's going to start off with the Fractal, which will send the kit, and of course then sends Nerval, and then Nerval will add the Curse from deck to hand. He's going to normal the kit, use that effect. I will Imperm here, but he does have the Curse, so I guess it didn't really matter. And so with Curse, he's going to banish again, and bring out the Bear Room, and just going to link 4 into Appaloosa. And with the Bear Room, we'll add the Revolt, and he just has to put back a card. And he has 2 sets, which is unfortunate. I did have the Cyclone, and now it's a 50-50 chance on being able to hit that Revolt. So we are going to start off with the Prosperity. Really key here, we do get the Emergency, now we can get the Core. And so we will special the Cyber Dragon. I'm trying to force out that Revolt right now in case he really wants to save that Appaloosa. Unfortunately not, so we will at least just get rid of that. And we're just going to search and get the Core. Now at this point I have to at least take my shot at the Revolt because, you know, getting it banished is really going to hurt. So fortunately we did hit it and he is forced to use it. And so he's going to use the Revolt. And just links 4 into the Shurg, which will banish the Mega Fleet. That's fine, that's expendable, and he's just gonna add the kit. And on the Core, I suspected it would be an Imperm, and I was feeling good that it was, because now it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna fast forward here because we know that, you know, we do have the Nova Infinity play. And so the funny thing is, I remember guys, I did use Prosperity, so he was gonna take half damage, but after he saw Dragoon, just scoops, and I don't think I would do that, right? I mean, maybe just didn't feel like it, but you know, he was only gonna take half damage, so he was still in it. But we are gonna go into game 2, and I'm actually forced to go first. I didn't really expect that, but fortunately we do have the Prosperity to try to get a target for machine duplication, and fortunately we do get the Emergency. Of course, getting the Emergency can be risky if they have Droll, rather than, let's say, getting the Hers that was available there. So we're just gonna add the Core, normal that Core, use effect. Unfortunately is met by Valor, which does suck. It's worse than Ash because now machine dupe, you know, Core's not a Cyber Dragon anymore. That's why I link it off, bring it back with the Rev system. So now that it's again Cyber Dragon, unfortunately opponent has the Ash, so can't even do that. But we do have one more backup play, which is the Anaconda, unfortunately met by effect Valor yet again. So not the most formidable board, and this is where I was like, wow, Tri-Brigade with Dragoon, interesting. Okay, so he is gonna bring that out and pop the Anaconda and attack for 3k. Main 2, you know, we don't have anything really, so we're just gonna scoop, and we are gonna go second going into game 3. So our hand, I did decide to keep the Droplet in because he plays Dragoon. Typically, I like to, even though Droplet is good against Shurg, I find it's just better to side with just pure back row hate against this deck, because if you force out the Shurg before you summon anything, then it doesn't really matter, right? So that's what I like to go with. But he actually doesn't summon anything, so I honestly thought he would have Gamma, and I was just preparing for the worst, but it's actually met by a Valor. I'm like, okay, it's alright. I still have Overload Fusion, and in that case, you know, going for OTK is pretty easy, so we're just going to special the Naxer, not use its effect, because then we would be locked into machines. So we go into Anaconda first, and then use Overload Fusion. and bring out Rampage. We're going to use that effect to send 2 from the deck, unfortunately met by the Veiler, and at that point I knew he must have had another card for the Anaconda, otherwise he would not be Veilering Rampage. So unfortunately, we are just going to go with the Anaconda Rampage beatdown and pass turn there. Another Red Eyes Fusion from our opponent. And so, at least this way, because of hard activating, he can't summon anything else. And I did think about the droplet, but I realized I was going to survive this attack, and that's much better because dropletting on my opponent's turn, you know, it's not going to do much when it comes to my turn. So now, we are in a pretty good position. So we're going to use Core. We're trying to bait that Dragoon effect, and just to see what he does. And with the Naxter, we are going to bring the Rampage, which we did summon successfully through Overload Fusion. Rampage, we are going to send 2. We'll send the Hers and Core. And with the Hers, we're just going to add back that Core. He's really not negating anything. So here, this is actually an illegal activation. I just realized I already used Core's graveyard effect, so I could not actually use that effect right there. I'm not sure. This is actually one of the first times I've done that in a very, very long time. So apologies for that. That shouldn't have happened. It really doesn't matter though, because I would have just been able to droplet whatever he did. So the outcome doesn't change, but definitely look out for that. You cannot use both of Core's effect. So you can only use one or the other. I should not have been able to do that. So just making that clear. So yeah, we do have droplet and we will go for game there. So let's move on to the last one. Alright guys, so another replay, and this time is against Mekk-Knight, and I know this player, he typically makes into my meta-analyses and rogue analyses. Obviously a very, very good player, and I'm getting very lucky in this match. But, you know, he does really well with this deck. Mekk-Knight's another rogue deck that if you're looking for a new deck to play, is certainly an option, and probably best to look at his replays because he clearly is very, very, very good with this deck. So he's going to start off with the Prosperity. Keep in mind, I actually was forced to go first, and I just passed turn, knowing that he is a Mekk-Knight player. I did Ash that Memories, and now we are going to try to attack. He does Ash the Core, but we do have the Ref system, and we're just like trying to play through around Nibiru. I'm not sure if people are really main decking it right now, but at least this way we are able to go in to Rampage with the Seeger in 4 summons, and with the Rampage we'll send the 2 cards, and we will just go for the OTK. And so we take that one, and of course we are forced to go first yet again, and I did prepare for it, although my hand isn't amazing. So we do have the Prosperity. Luckily, it's definitely a really good card in this deck. I know it's expensive, and hopefully, you know, when it gets reprinted, then you can incorporate this into your deck, but I do find that it really solves a lot of the issues in terms of the consistency. This deck, you know, it can break quite bad, and even with Prosperity, it doesn't really fix everything. So, you know, anyways, I am just gonna pass turn there. We will imperm the Girsu. He does have Memories. Brings out the Indigo, goes into Morningstar to try to add. I will just imperm here. Wasn't too clear whether that was the right choice, but looks like maybe it was. And so attacks with 2000, and so we are gonna search the Emergency with the Core. Our hand still is not that great, so we are gonna add the Hers with the Emergency, go into Mega Fleet, and then with Naxter we will bring out, well, Special It rather, and then bring back the Core with the Hers that we just pitched, go into Anaconda. So, you know, not game, but just playing it a little bit safe in a way, and going with the Dragoon, so at least we have a negate still on the way back on the next turn. So we're just going to set that Cyclone, because typically Mekk-Knight, they will set even just like a spell just to set up the columns. So this is where I do banish that, although it was just an imperm, so not too strong. Girsu, we are just going to gain destroy that, and we do take the win there. So let's go for the next replay. Okay, so this final replay is against Traptrix, a pretty cool deck as well, and you know, it has an interesting interaction in this game, so I thought I'd show it. The match itself, I believe, was not too long. He's gonna just go into Sarah set 3 and pass, so we unfortunately didn't draw any back row removal. So we are gonna add the Core with the Emergency. Me being dumb, I just decided to negate the Sarah. I'm not too familiar with this deck. I know I've showed this deck in replays before in terms of my videos, but I'm still not too familiar with it. So we are gonna search the repair plan, and he does have the Sanctum, and this is why I should have just saved that droplet. I have failed to take into account that they're always gonna play Sanctum pretty much, and so we're just gonna set our own 2 and pass turn there, and he's gonna I guess set the Compulse with the Traptrix. So for turn, I was gonna summon the Dania, bring back another Dania, and then Sarah's gonna trigger, sets the Floodgate Trap Hole, gonna overlay into the Utopia. And so I'm actually going to imperm that, and then he's going to try to chain it with his own imperm to negate my imperm. But then I use droplet to send my core as cost. That way his imperm misses target, so he is not going to negate my column, but my imperm will still resolve and negate the Utopia. So he does add here, but I quickly tell my opponent that he has split back. And he unfortunately plays Prosperity in the imperm column. And remember, it's because my imperm column was still in the middle, even though his imperm in the middle was did not resolve. But anyways, so of course Prosperity is negated, and he does neg quite heavily there. And so main phase 2 is going to go into Zeus, which is fine. I'd rather him blow up everything in his back row. So we're going to use Core's effect to bring out the Hers. He's going to use Floodgate Trap Hole, and then Sarah's going to trigger and bring out another Dionea. And then Dionea triggers and gets the Floodgate Trap Hole and the Gravedigger's Trap Hole. So we're just going to contact Fuse. Doesn't matter if hers is face down, for Mega Fleet at least, because it's a Cyber Dragon monster, not Cyber Dragon specifically. And so hers will trigger. We'll get that Cyber Dragon. And Repair Plant, we will add the Galaxy Soldier. So we're going to normal the hers. And go into Fortress with that Zeus. And he just scoops. He really shouldn't have. I mean, he still had the advantage, I would say. The back rows is like really problematic. Although I guess, you know, he did set a couple of them so he couldn't activate it. But my hand is looking pretty nice. Cosmic Cyclone and Feather Duster. That's more than you can ask for against a back row deck like that. You know, whether they shotgun anti-spell, or you play Feather Duster and they play Imperial Order and you can get rid of the Cyclone. Really, all that stops would be something like Solemn Judgment. But fortunately, I mean, he adds also just a Traptrix monster off Prosperity, so that told me that, you know, he didn't have any starters and he just only had back row. So he's gonna go into Sarah and sets 5, and unfortunately we are going to ruin this opponent's career by using the Cyclone on the anti-spell, Feather Duster, and just scoops. Alright guys, so that was it for the replays. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I've started off this format really strong with this list, so I'm just gonna stick with it for now until Destroy Phoenix Enforcer comes out. That's it for me guys, take care.